Welcome to the Armani Talks YouTube channel. I'm your host, Armani Talks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills in order to help you level up your way with words and become much more articulate. If you're looking to improve your speaking skills and writing skills, be sure to join the tribe by hitting the subscribe button right on below, hit that bell notification, and stay updated for 3 videos a week. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and be sure to drop that like on your way in. In today's episode, we're going to be breaking down psychology for dummies. The problem with people who do not understand psychology is that they confuse the derivatives as the source. They understand a lot of concepts like the subconscious mind, id, superego, a lot of these words, but they don't understand the source of psychology, which is a person's identity. It's very similar to a storyteller who wrote a big book, and then he gave this book to his editor to fix up the grammar, the punctuation, the spelling. And this editor has been editing this big book for so long that part of him starts to think that he wrote the story. He starts to tell his friends and family, hey, you see this big book? I wrote it. Big mistake. This is a situation of when the derivative is being confused as the source. In terms of psychology, rather than focusing on the what mentality, we need to focus on the who mentality. The who is the source, the what is the derivatives, which pretty much means that we gotta put someone else's identity in the forefront. And once we put their identity in the forefront, that's when a lot of these different concepts like motives, subconscious mind, ego, a lot of this other stuff starts to make more sense. But without placing someone's identity first, we run the risk of applying these concepts incorrectly on a certain personality. So that's the goal. Put someone's identity first. And how do we exactly do that? I want to share how you're going to do that through a story. And by understanding the story, you're going to understand what the who mentality means in the first place. If you're ready and excited for today's talk, go on and drop that like for me right on below. Roughly around the 11th grade, I was going through this identity crisis. A year before, I was 5'3". This year, I shot up to 6 foot tall. This was hot and cold. It was good because I was now tall. It was bad because I was now skinny. And a part of me didn't quite understand who I was and who I should hang out with. To make matters worse, I was in the IB program, which was pretty much a program for a lot of the smart kids. And me. I never felt like I belonged with those kids. And due to me feeling like I didn't belong, I started to hang out with a lot of bad kids. Kids that would constantly get in trouble, skip school, do drugs. I felt as though since I didn't belong in IB, I should hang out with these people. Within the IB program, there were a bunch of different classes, and one of them was psychology. My psychology professor was named Dr. Anson. Dr. Anson was roughly in his mid-60s, would always wear khaki pants, a dark blue shirt, collared, and would rarely comb his hair. He just pretty much grab his palms and just push it to the side. Blonde hair, mustache. And he would always try to remind you that he was a doctor. He has a PhD. He took a lot of pride in psychology. And his pride often turned into enthusiasm during his lectures. Where I was normally a history kind of guy within high school, I tried to give psychology a chance due to Dr. Anson's enthusiasm regarding the topic. For mid-semester, we had to write this essay regarding a lot of the concepts that he brought up, and this essay was going to be worth a lot of our grade. I wanted to impress him. I wanted to show him that I had been paying attention. So I spent a couple of weeks working on this essay, doing a whole bunch of research, doing a whole bunch of proofreading. Then I give it to him. I'm expecting nothing short of an A. He ends up giving me a D. I'm the only kid in class that he gave a D to, and every single other kid got an A. I was fuming. I go to him after class and I ask him, what's the meaning of this? And he tells me, he's like, the essay was well written, but I could clearly tell that you didn't understand a lot of the psychology concepts. Sorry. When he said that so nonchalantly, I started to get angry. And eventually, I said, man, you don't know what you're talking about. When I said that to him, you could tell that his pride got involved. You got to remember, he is a PhD, you know, and I'm telling him he doesn't know what he's talking about. And he once again reaffirmed that the D was final. And once again, I told him that he really doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And when I brought it up the second time, I still recall it like it was yesterday. He kind of takes this step to me, like he was going to hit me or something. And up until that point in my life, I always associated this level of composure with teachers. And at that moment, he just broke it. It's like he was actually trying to hit me. And that's when I decided to challenge him further. I'm like, what are you going to do? You're going to hit me? Do it. And that's when he realized what he just did, and he got his composure back, and he told me to get out of his class. I left. That moment infuriated me, and I started to hang out with my bad friends some more. I noticed how a lot of them would skip school, but they would rarely get caught. So one day, me and one of my buddies decides that we're going to skip class too, and we're not going to get caught. We decide to skip and go to the basketball court right by, and we're supposed to just play basketball, go to Wendy's, and call it a day. As we were playing basketball for a couple of hours, everything is going smooth until the principal of our high school is driving by and sees two kids who seem like they belong in class playing basketball. She gets our names, and then she's like, okay, what's your student IDs? I'm going to give you guys referrals. I didn't want to get a referral, so I gave her a fake name with a fake student ID, and so did my buddy. That's when she took down the information and she left. We thought we got away with this perfectly. A couple of days went by, and then eventually she sent a few of her goons, aka the deans, to come to our class and then take us to her office. She was smarter than she looked. She apparently went through the yearbook to find us after she realized that we gave her fake names, and she was able to locate us. And once she found us, she didn't just give us a referral, she ended up suspending us for 5 days. In terms of the IB program, this was unheard of. No one in the IB program ever got suspended before, and here I was, gone for 5 days. And within those 5 days, apparently a lot of people had been gossiping about me, bad-mouthing me, and I knew because there was a girl named Megan Baker who was calling me every night to keep me updated. She even told me, hey Armani, I don't know if you know this, but they're actually talking about kicking you out of the IB program. When she told me that, my heart sank. I got so nervous. I mean, I had been working so much, and I'm supposed to get kicked out due to this one mistake? Ah, man, what am I gonna do? I couldn't do anything. All I could do was wait. Once the 5 days were up, I was supposed to go and meet with the head coordinator of the IB program named Dr. Romeo. I go to Dr. Romeo. We have some informal talking going on. And then he says, so you know that you're supposed to get kicked out of the IB program, right? I'm sure you've heard the news. I nodded my head. After much consideration, after talking to a whole bunch of your professors, I decided that I'm not going to kick you out. Really? Yes. The reason that I'm not going to kick you out is because there was one professor who went out of his way to tell me why I shouldn't kick you out. I'm thinking that one professor is going to be my history teacher because him and I had always been close. But no, it wasn't. It was Dr. Anson. Apparently, Dr. Anson and Dr. Romeo were buddies, and Dr. Anson went out of his way to make sure that I didn't get kicked out. And apparently, he said that I'm a good kid with a lot of potential. Once I heard that, I felt this heart-warming sensation, and I decided that I was going to ask Dr. Anson why he did that. By the time that I meet up with Dr. Anson, I ask him, why did you do that? Why did you have my back when a lot of the other people didn't? And he said, because I saw potential in you. I was like, why? How? And he said, because I noticed that last year you were short. This year you're tall, you're skinny. And I noticed that there's a few times during the lunch moments, you actually don't go eat with the other kids. You don't hang out with the other IB kids too much. So I could tell that you're in that stage of your life right now where you're figuring things out. That's why after that moment, when you yelled at me for giving you a D, I could sense some passion. I could sense that you were not just going in standby mode, you actually wanted to figure something out. And that's why I could tell that you have potential. And this is a psychology professor. He could have easily used his what mentality and started to microanalyze me with a whole bunch of the concepts in his psychology book. But he didn't do that. Instead, he focused on the who first. He brought me into the centerfold of the psychology equation, and he was able to see a lot of things that I'm sure a lot of the other teachers, a lot of the other students were not capable of perceiving. So he's not just one of those PhD guys that has the credentials without the lens of wisdom. He has the lens of wisdom, which makes his credentials much more meaningful. Dr. Anson taught me that the who mentality is often going to happen when we least want to exercise it. When there is a person who is probably cutting us off in traffic, when there is a person, maybe a student, who is disrespecting the teacher, or maybe it's from getting a mean online comment. These are perfect opportunities to train the mind to exit the what mentality to engage the who mentality. And the more that we keep bringing the who mentality first, the more that we start to disrupt the brain's tendency to generalize, and we start to train the brain to see the nuances of a situation. The more that we see the nuances of a situation, the easier it becomes to speak to one person at a time. When you speak to one person at a time, no longer are you the editor who's confusing himself as the storyteller. You now officially become the storyteller. So if you enjoyed today's video and you want more concepts like this into the world of psychology, social intelligence, emotional intelligence, be sure to sign up for my free daily newsletter, which goes out every single day at 7 p.m. EST. In this newsletter, you are going to learn a lot of tips, tricks, and insights in soft skills that you will not find in Google or other YouTube channels. What are you waiting for? Join the tribe by hitting the link in the description box or the pinned comment, or go on ArmaniTalks.com and sign up today. Thank you very much for joining the Armani Talks YouTube channel, and I will catch you on the next episode.